2 minutes till we start. Everybody ready? If you'll, we'll call this meeting of the Yuma Union High School District number 70 Governing Board to order. If you'll all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence, Mr. Lara will lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may all be seated. We appreciate everybody coming tonight. First item on the agenda, 2.1, board members may have a discussion about conferences, visitations, legislation, special recognition, donations, etc. Does any board member have anything they'd like to report on?
I just wanted to report on the San Luis High School graduation that I had the privilege and honor of attending. It was wonderful to be able to support our students there. It was beautiful.
Any other members? Okay. Yes, Mr. Gonzalez.
Just gonna piggyback to what you said. I was very pleased that I was invited to the COFA High School graduation. It was very well organized. I really enjoyed it. Bring me a lot of memories, flashbacks when I graduated from there, on the same field. So, and the good thing is, what I said, it was already script, so I didn't have to write anything down. So that was a big plus. Thank you.
I too got to do Yuma High, which is my alma mater, and 48 years prior to that, I sat on Doan Field getting my diploma, and I still remember the board members that presented that night. So it was a great night, and to recognize our students. So.
I'll add.
Okay.
At Gila Ridge, we had a fabulous graduation. I think it was blustery all over town. So we had some mortarboards that were kind of, made it a little more fun, I guess, to chase after. But it was just an amazing ceremony, and just so proud of the students. And you listen to their speeches and how respectful and the families were excited to be there to celebrate, and as to come through this full year to be able to have that was amazing, and it was just such a fun. I think we were all just a little giddy to be there. It was a lot of fun.
Mr. Lotto.
I was at Cibola. I don't know if they'll ever want me back, but thank you.
I think we'll assign that to you next year.
I just might do that.
Okay, moving on. We'll end that there. Superintendent's report. Recognition of community member Justin Hell. Ms. Thompson?
President Townsend, Governing Board, I am just so thrilled that Mr. Hale is able to be here for us tonight. His ongoing support in all of our schools really speaks to not only his commitment to every student, but just his philanthropic endeavors. And just very proud to know him, proud to be a part of the community with him. And Mr. Derek Bosch is going to come forward and say a few things about Mr. Hale. I don't even know what the script is, so I hope he doesn't have any of your secrets. And he'll introduce Mr. Hale to come forward. Oh.
Superintendent Thompson, members of the board, associate superintendents. So when Ms. Thompson asked me to present Mr. Hale tonight, I was excited about it because I've known Justin since 2004 when I moved to Yuma. He was one of the first people that I met when I came here. And if you know Justin, and as a school district and as schools, we talk about building relationships with people all the time. And Justin is one of those people. He truly builds relationships and he makes time for people. If you walk into his gym, no matter what he's doing, he'll say what's up, he'll shake your hand, he'll fist bump you, he'll do whatever, he'll make you feel welcome. With his 4th Avenue Gym Athletic Foundation, I remember getting an email from him 2017-18, and essentially it said something like, we started this foundation, have about $7,000. Our goal is to get $10,000 to $12,000, and ultimately our goal is to give schools $2,000 worth of equipment by the end of the year. Tell us what you want. And now going into year 5, this is year 4, it's blown up, as Justin will tell you. And knowing him, I'm super proud of him, not only as a friend, but in a professional relationship. He has done so much for our community, for our schools, and as a former coach, and there's some former athletic directors in here and principals in here, it's hard to, provide the best all the time with the money that we have. And Justin, with his 4th Avenue Gym Athletic Foundation, has done that. He is innovative, he's resourceful, and he, as a Yuma guy, really wants the best for Yuma. And he's got great businesses. He's got a new one out in the foothills. He's got Elite Tanning, and now he's providing back to our students, and that's what it's all about. So thank you, Justin. We appreciate you, and I'll leave it to him.
Thanks, Derek. Yeah, thank you all for having me. And just as Derek's believed in me, there's also like Shelly over here. She this past year, even during the pandemic, she believed in me and sponsored my foundation. One of the things with my foundation, what I do is I donate so much money through the gym. We donate $1 from every shirt we sell, every day pass we sell, which is about $10,000 per location. So about $20,000 a year. And then we sell advertisements in the gym, which, Shelly take part of, and other businesses, and they, pay $500 or they pay more depending on what they want to do. And then obviously the money is well spent, and I make sure to put that out in the public. And obviously, you guys, most of you have seen it. I post before and after pictures, which I feel is a big part of why the foundation has got so big so fast. As business owners, we understand a lot of people come and ask for money, and we give it to them. We never really see where the money goes. So when I attacked this, I really wanted to make sure that the public saw where I was sticking that money at. So it's been a cool 4 years. In 4 years, we've donated our $102,000 in athletic equipment to the schools. And I think what makes it really special is that I do a lot of the legwork myself. So I make sure that money is well spent. So when it comes down to, like getting the list, like Derek says, I'll give them a budget for the year. Like this year, we raised $40,000. So every school got about like $65,000 to $7,000. So I kind of give or take and make things work. But they give me the budgets. I give them the budgets. They give me their lists. And then from there, I go and I dissect it. I've been doing the gym thing for 28 years now with my dad, since I was 13. So I'm good at what I do. And it's cool to go out there, make it happen, like find the best price guaranteed, deliver the project. Like right now I'm working on a San Luis's new scoreboard. It's like $15,000, but I'm hoping that this gets them to winning that state championship. The last 2 years they've gotten, I think, runner-up. And the coach told me, he's like, when we got our little like sign winders banners out on the wall, they were so fired up for like banners. So I can't imagine how these kids are going to feel when they see that new scoreboard up there. And when I go into the projects like Gina's seen, this past year I did all Yuma High's wall pads. And when I went and saw the school's projects, the school said, hey, we want to do this and this. What do you think? And I said, well, why don't we do this? But we put the Crimhead logo on every single one of them. And then I order you all new wall pads for the new gym, and we do the whole thing with the prison. And, I really take heart in like trying to give these kids more school pride. I feel like the kids need something cool. They want it to look good, and I feel like you want to have things that say, Yuma Crims, blue, white. You know, just like Kofa right here when I did their scoreboard. It said Pepsi, like really big, bigger than Kofa. I don't think that's the way to do it. I think we want the Kofa Kings logo really big. You know, I definitely made sure to keep Mr. Bamer up there on top of that board. You know, Mr. Bamer, that's someone that I looked up to in life. I felt like he did a lot for the community, and I hope that I can kind of do the same thing for him. So I feel like we're just getting warmed up with this whole thing. 4 years, 102,000, and this year my goal is to beat 40,000, and we'll keep, you know, funneling it back to the schools and making it happen. My mom was a teacher for 35 years, so I saw the struggles that teachers go through, and hopefully I can help out in the future, you know. So I appreciate you guys having me, and it's an honor to be here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Item 3.1, budget update, overview of the 2020-2021 Yuma Union High School District internal budget. Ms. Cordery, you're already there.
I am. I'm ready. All right, so for our M&O budget, we have currently spent 78% of our budget. This is through June 1st. We have spent $54.5 million of our almost $70 million budget for maintenance and operation. For our capital budget, we have, let's just start over because I was on the wrong page. We actually have spent 65% of our budget. So we have spent $52 million of an $80 million budget. So for capital, we have spent 9% of our budget, $1.1 million of a $12.5 million for that budget. And just as a reminder, yes, there's a lot of contingency, but that is set aside for Somerton High School and for the costs that we're going to have coming for not only with staffing costs with that, but also furniture and equipment as well. When it comes to our grants, our regular grant update, we have no change with DEMA. We're still on hold. They're still have made a priority for the COVID testing sites and vaccinations, and so we are in a holding pattern to see about getting our funds reimbursed for those. Our ESSER 1, so our CARES Act is divided into 3 different ESSER grants. So for our ESSER 1, it's $2.5 million. We worked on that just this afternoon. We should be submitting that next week and hopefully getting full reimbursement for that by June 30th. And so we will be done with that grant. Our second ESSER is $10.5 million, so we'll begin work on that. We have already some expenses associated with that. And then our ESSER 3 is going to be upwards of $20 million. That goes towards a lot of getting our summer school, things like that in place. And so 20% of that grant has to go to that. And so we have some costs already associated with that, and we'll begin working on that. But again, that goes till 2024. So we have some time to figure out how to spend that money. Any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Cordery? Ms. Kravitz?
I have 2.
Okay.
One is a comment. Thank you to all the grant writers for keeping up on that. I know a lot of districts have run into issues with that, and so that's wonderful to hear. The question that I have is specifically on the line item for buses.
Yes,
We budgeted $1 million, but we didn't touch any of it.
we will.
Okay.
We've just received 3 new buses, and they've come in, but they will be paid in the month of June.
Okay.
So you will see them next month.
Thank you.
Because we had grant money, if you remember, Maricopa funds, so we have to work with our grant folks in Maricopa to time that payment for them.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Cordery. Item 3.2, school safety grant. Ms. Thompson?
Thank you. I'm going to ask Ms. Lisa Anderson to speak to the school safety grant that was funded by the Arizona legislature.
The school safety grant, also known as the SSP, was funded by the Arizona legislature, and it provides safety and mental health professionals to Arizona schools. In December of 2019, the program was expanded to include school counselors and social workers for the first time. And the Yuma Union High School District applied for social worker positions during that grant cycle. Despite the gains, the demand outstripped the program funds, leaving many schools who applied for a position unfunded. And the Yuma Union High School District at that time was funded for 1 social worker at Yuma High School. On April 19th, 2021, the Arizona Department of Education announced that it was allocating $21.3 million of its federal recovery dollars, also known as ESSER, to fund the school safety program's counselor and social worker wait lists, which meant bringing opportunities for 71 school counselors and 69 school social worker positions to schools across 10 counties for the next 2 years. It is a pleasure to share that this includes funding to support for school years 21-22 and 22-23 school social worker positions at Cibola, Gila Ridge, Cofa, and San Luis. And those positions have been funded, and our goal is to have them filled for the start of this school year.
Any questions for Ms. Anderson? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on, item 3.3, 200 spaces of equity. Ms. Thompson.
Thank you, President Townsend, Governing Board. This was an exciting project that was undertaken this year and actually doubled in the outcome from what the goal was. Our district has always stood very strong in the aspect of equity. However, it might be a little different in our district. We're striving for equity of experience and opportunity for every student. We have the foundation so that we can meet every student where they are and have them college, career, and community prepared upon graduation. Our campuses do so many things, and sometimes you don't sit back and really evaluate where we are and from where we've come. The other part of our equity is that we offer equity of opportunity for our staff as well. And we continue to offer career pathways that we hope will keep them within our own district and therefore our own community. Eric Brooks is our Chief Academics Officer, and he's going to take some time tonight to talk about our 200 spaces of equity out of Yuma Union High School District.
Good evening, President Townsend, board members, Associate Superintendent Thompson, and Associate Superintendents. So I would love to take you through all 200 slides because I know that's what you really want from me. But I chose a couple of key slides that I think you're going to find very, very important. We embarked on this project for a number of reasons. One is during this year, there are obviously a lot of things that, how many times have you heard it's an unprecedented year, it's a daunting year, learning loss, all of those things that are relatively negative. We wanted to make sure that we took the time to focus on all of the really positive things that are going on in our district. And one of the things that we are most proud of is our equity stands. All of you have a placard on your desk that says, every student, college, career, and community prepared. These slides will show you some of how we get to that point. I'm going to read to you just one slide because I think it's important to get this into the public voice. The beauty of equity should be seen and not just read about. Equity, as is defined as just and fair inclusion, an equitable society is one in which all can participate and prosper. The goals of equity must be to create conditions that allow all to reach their full potential. In short, equity creates a path from hope to change. As Ms. Thompson so eloquently put it, we started out wanting 100 spaces of equity. Our schools always exceed the limits of what we expect, so we actually ended up with 200 spaces of equity within the Yuma Union High School District. So I'm going to start with the first one. You will notice that these are from a variety of different schools. Each one of these blue dots here represents one of the students who attends Vista High School. We could do this for each of our schools. Imagine if we had all 11,500 students that we served pinned in on here. But also imagine the dedication it takes to put each of these dots on something like this. The same dedication it takes to put these dots on here is the same dedication that we give to each and every one of our students. We're going to move to unique populations. Our SEI department. We are constantly finding ways to improve the proficiency for our students. We have students whose primary language is not English, but are amazing students and do academically very well in our schools. The purpose of our SEI program is to really help them elevate through 3 levels of proficiency, and by the end of those 3 levels, they are proficient. We find creative ways to not only help our students, but as Ms. Thompson also pointed out, to make sure that our teachers have access to some of the greatest training possible when it comes to standard English immersion. Not only does it relate to the internal workings of our school, but we also reach outside of our district. So this, you will see, is bilingual text messaging with parents and students. Equity is not only for us inside the district walls of YUHSD, it also extends to our parents. So imagine being a parent whose primary language is not English and wanting to help and support your student. These sort of systems like KIPSU that are offered at our schools allow parents the opportunity to find out what's going on with their students and to be that support that their students need. I want to bring us to, in education, one of probably the biggest dichotomies that we often present is the idea that either students are AP or they're CTE. We oftentimes will say, from the olden days of tracking, you were a certain type of student. Either you were a student who was labeled good with your hands, which meant that you went into CTE courses, or you were a student who was labeled good with his or her head, and so you were given AP courses. The wonderful thing about our district is that we don't do that. We allow all of our students, we give each of our students equity of opportunity in regards to the fact that they have the Cambridge curriculum. The Cambridge curriculum by far is one of the most rigorous curriculums that is out and available to students today. It's more rigorous than IB, it's more rigorous than honors courses that you'll find at a lot of other high schools. All of our students take those courses. Freshman, sophomore year, every student, no matter your academic prowess, you will all be in Cambridge courses. We do offer AP courses, and we do offer CTE. So as opposed to an either or, for our district it becomes a both and. And so we have, to show you the students who, this is reminiscent of some of our students who take AP courses, and then the next slide is reminiscent of some of the students who take our CTE courses. And what you'll notice are things like 23% female in well-being, all of the different ethnicities represented in all of the different courses, because it's important to us that students have, again, equity of opportunity and equity of voice. Being academically prepared, or not being academically prepared, obviously gets you ready for the assessment. We know that state tests are what drive a lot of how people's impressions of our schools are. So for example, all of our students have access to ACT training. Through a partnership that we have with Horizon Prep, every student has the opportunity to take several different practice tests throughout the course of each and every year. It's not something we just offer to our juniors. When you step onto our campuses in 9th grade, so from 9th to 12th grade, you have several different opportunities to practice for the ACT. 9th grade preparation looks very different than 12th grade preparation. That's equity. Not everyone gets the same thing. People get what they need so that they can move forward in a way that's meaningful for them. As we move from the academic side of the house to the social and emotional piece, also from 9th to 12th grade, our students have access to leadership classes. Any student who wants to take a leadership class has that ability to do it. We don't limit it to those who are juniors and seniors who are going to be student body president, vice president, things like that. We make sure that all students who want to participate have access to our leadership courses. Any student who wants to be a leader should have the opportunity to show their prowess to become a leader. Another dichotomy that's often presented is the fact that it's either the arts or it's athletics. What we wanted to show in this is that we have an excellent program in performing arts that allows students to participate. All students who want to participate have the ability to participate in a variety of our performing arts, and then also in our athletics programs. So So both of those are well represented by all different types of students in all different types of sports. Now, let's bring us to the adult side of the house and to the adults. One of the things that's very important for our teachers to see, as illuminated again, there are a variety of different pathways that you can take in education. Not everyone who is an educator stands in front of children and disseminates information according to their content area. We have a lot of different people who make our district amazing. If you look at all of the faces that you see up here, you'll notice the variety of hue of skin, you'll notice the variety of education level, you'll notice the variety of male and female. All of that is illuminated on here, and one of the things we're probably most proud of the fact is that you'll notice that YUHSD grown, how many of the people who are represented in this photo actually graduated from our schools, and the level of education that each of them receive. That's one of the many departments. I'm going to bring you next to our executive cabinet. Probably one of the greatest examples of balance. You have gender balance, 45 to 55%. You have a number of people here who obviously are from our schools, kind of the Yuma Union grows its own. And then you have, as far as levels of experience, those of us in the 31 plus category get to work alongside of those who've been in for 0 to 15 years. And so with that sort of balance, you're able to accomplish many things because you have a variety, you have equity of voice and you have equity of experience. Two of our campuses, when you start to put photos on paper, when you start to put things down, you start to notice things. And one of the things we wanted to make sure we did when we entered this project was to make sure that people had great conversations. It's not about just kind of creating this yearbook type of thing. It's about making sure that when we talk about equity, we really know what it is. So if I were to say to Ms. Anderson, I think this is a great space of equity, we'd have a conversation as to why. And then she might challenge me and say, hey, what about this? Could this be better? Could this be different? And so kudos to our schools, because not only did they find areas of equity, and they found a lot, but they also found areas of inequity. And when they found the areas of inequity, they made statements to let us know what they're going to do differently. Because it's very important for us to, again, get to the space where we have equity of voice and equity of experience. So here's a team here where you see a variety of different people represented. If I'm a student on this campus, imagine how great my life is to be able to see people who look like me doing a variety of jobs that I could easily do or that I can one day hope to accomplish. Fast forward to the next one. You have a school that recognizes as they put pictures on and they make a statement. We are cognizant of the discrepancy between male and female representation in our leadership. As we move forward, we will cultivate our female leaders and provide opportunities for their increased participation. So as I said, this whole project about finding spaces of equity, but also about finding spaces, sometimes when you do these things, you notice, oh, wow, there's some things here that we probably need to do differently. And this allows for that sort of thing to take place. Our last slide. This says Yuma High School because it was their slide, but it speaks for all of the schools in our district. We are dedicated to equity because, and I will quote John F. Kennedy, all of us do not have equal talent, but all of us should have an equal opportunity to develop our talent. And for our last fun slide, that would be our thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Does any board member have any questions or comments for Mr. Brooks? Ms. Kravitz?
I have one question.
You're not off the podium yet, Mr. Brooks.
Get in, get out.
I'm sorry, I just saw my The 100 spaces of equity became 200 spaces of equity, which I interpret through your wonderful presentation as being places or opportunities for equity.
Absolutely.
So it was more, just to understand it totally, it was more an internal, let's look within to see, ensure that we're doing the best for our students.
Absolutely.
So I have to applaud you because it was a great presentation and I witnessed it in our schools. And when you go from campus to campus to campus, it's beautiful to see the same opportunities for each child.
Absolutely. And the great thing about this is that schools see what everyone else is offering, and if you're not offering it, you'll make sure you do offer it.
Right, and the students pick up on it too, and they say, oh, at this campus they offer this, I would like to have it here, and then they go about getting it, and so that's a nice empowerment tool.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, now, thank you. Okay. Next item is the call to the public. A lot of you have been waiting on this. Any person wishing to speak may present the information at this time only. All presentations are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes and a maximum of 15 minutes on each subject. Before you begin to speak, please identify yourself by clearly stating for the record your name. Comments by members of the governing board in response to any public comment will be limited to asking staff to review the matter or requesting rescheduling of the matter for further consideration at a later date. I want to emphasize kind of what this means is this is, sometimes we have things brought to the call to the public that are not on agenda items, and because we're a public body, we cannot discuss publicly an item that hasn't been posted on the agenda. So that's why we can't respond to questions and stuff directly, just so you know. I'll go in the order. I have 6, I believe, that have signed up. I'll go in the order I received them. Mr. Gary Snyder.
Good evening, President Townsend. Good evening, Governing Board. Gina Thompson and Lisa Andres, administrators, also public, and the ones out in the hallway. I'm here, actually, I live in San Luis, Arizona. This is the first time I've been to the Governing Board opportunity. Been trying to go to YUHSD, saw how they run their stuff over there. I applaud you guys on your guys' dedication over here, and school board administration as well. I'm just here on one main topic. Big supporter, Back to Blue. My question is not for you. The question is just if you give me the time to discuss it. I believe in San Luis, Back to Blue means an opportunity for our students in all Yuma County, since we are a closed niche county. We're all about law enforcement, military, agriculture. Those are the main backbones that we have here in Yuma County. Also, they are the main backbones, like Justin Hell, if he was here, will tell you, majority of that money that's been donated is from law enforcement, agriculture, military as well. So when I found out what was going on in San Luis and another location, it hurt my heart. Because truthfully, what's going on right now in the country overall, that's a political thing, but with the borders being open, crossing illegally, and we know San Luis unfortunately has a lot of issues with drugs and stuff like that, and the crime level going up here in Yuma County, I believe Back to Blue is your buddy. Back to Blue will always stay there. Safe, yes, it might not be perfect. There might be a few elements here or there that's bad apples, but the foundation is, for example, when we first conducted the meeting, what do? We did the Pledge of Allegiance, we took a second. I believe that's the same foundation as Back to Blue. So I wanted to say thank you for your time. I'm gonna leave this shirt from you, President, and Mr. Lucky, nice to meet you. I hope you have a good day.
Thank you. Yep. Okay, the next speaker is Malba Alvarez.
Good evening, everyone. I do not know everybody in person, but nice to see you, everyone. Good evening, President Thompson, Superintendent, Assistant Superintendent, and members of the board, and guests present here and also in the hallway. Or myself, representing the Blue family, which is a law enforcement family as a police officer's wife, and also a resident of the city of San Luis. We believe that the decision on showing the Team Blue Line flag in our schools, in our high schools in particular, it's a very sensitive topic, and we just are seeking for you guys' attention as far as thinking and really considering and made it equally balanced, just as a few parents and students did, I guess, decided or became offended and also considered having a Team Blue Line flag in the teachers' Canvas platform, and they requested for that to be removed, and they became offended. As the Team Blue Line or the Blue Blood family, we would like for you guys to also consider the fact that our children do attend these high schools and will continue to attend these high schools, and it is in a way offending for our children, our own children, to not have been able to have our color guard flag to be used during one of our commencement ceremonies. And the district must grow, a spine and not bend on its values for a couple of students and their parents. I really believe that it must stand for what is right, standing for our police officers, especially those who have fallen in the line of duty for our sake, and is the right thing to do. Just like we would not turn our backs on the armed forces members, who I'm also a mother of an armed force member, who gave the ultimate sacrifice, we must not do so on our law enforcement. We have all needed and will continue to need our law enforcement, so I'm just here to speak on behalf of all of those who are actually on shift and cannot be here present, because we're always short on law enforcement personnel. So thank you for your attention. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Computers I have to play with. Next speaker, Russ Clark.
Superintendent Thompson, Assistant Superintendents, of course, board members, thanks for having me. I'm Russ Clark, and I want to talk about the flag situation, particularly the police flag down in San Luis. And I became aware of it like most people. Had a lot of calls, people talking to me, read it on the newspaper, and I hesitated to discuss it publicly for about a week, and then I had enough people call me. I started doing it, and I found a great bit of the community that is put off a little about it and would like some answers. And I don't know that we've got answers as to what the policy is. And I would like to ask now, before I run out of time, we'd like to see this on a board agenda and what a policy is and a policy on such. And maybe we didn't need to have one before, and maybe it's time that we look at this as a policy. But the fact that we asked the police department in San Luis, from what I understand, to not show their department flag because it had a blue line in it, and that's going to be offensive to somebody, I think is offensive to me that we withdrew it for that reason. I grant you there's some that are very loud and scream about their preferences, what they want to see, what offends them, what doesn't want to see. And if we start giving into that, we'll start taking down more flags and more things. And I don't think we can. This is not a partisan issue. This is not something that is meant to be anything other than a flag for the department. I was told, of course, in the newspaper it said it was neutral. And I found in other writings and some of the internal documents, neutral was the desire to be neutral, as if somehow that department's flag was something other than neutral. And I think that's offensive. And I think we need people to stand up and support our police department and not say that your department flag is neutral, or you recognizing the fallen officers in your department flag. And if somebody is offended by that, then I think we need more understanding and education and tolerance. And that has to be taught at this level, probably. I also was told that the schools do that as a regular item of just having the American flag and the Arizona flag. And there were pictures to prove that from prior years. And of course, I've seen some of those. I've also seen pictures from prior years that have the blue flag for Yuma Police Department. And this is one from COFA 2019, which is proudly displayed. Marine flag at Yuma. And I only did about 10 minutes of research, and I stopped there because that's not the point. The point is, what's our policy? What will we allow? And what are we going to do with the intolerant few that say, this is offensive to me, so it can't exist at my school, at the expense of everyone that it's offensive not to have it. And I think we need to get together and have that discussion. That's all I really ask for, is to have an open discussion, that we can make some decision that's going to be good with everybody, because this one was not. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, Jerry Van Sickle.
Make sure my phone is off first. Okay. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Jerry Van Sickle. I came tonight to address several concerns regarding our students' education due to a multitude of factors occurring at all levels in our country. My first concern is regarding the potential inclusion of SEL, social-emotional learning, in our schools. I know there are several teachers in our district who applied to attend training for SEL by the Arizona Department of Education. After researching what SEL is, its creation, and how it's changed since its original conception, my concerns have increased. The original SEL book, published back in 1997, contains none of the new equity elaborations that are in the current 18-page document on the Arizona Department of Education website. This document states on page 12 that the 5 competencies do not require approval by the State Board of Education to be included in any district's curriculum. Please keep in mind, the 5 competencies in SEL are not part of any Arizona state standard. According to the document, they are to be taught in connection with the standards. In addition, on page 3 of this document, it states that its purpose is that social and emotional learning is a process whereby students and teachers build a strong, lasting, and respectful relationship founded on 3 factors. Factor 2 is a concern. It is examination of the root causes of inequity. It continues by stating, to accomplish this purpose, it requires all aspects of the state system to examine issues of race directly. And then goes on to say, we cannot avoid race and let the challenges go acknowledged and therefore be inadequately addressed. This leads me to my second concern. As several notable universities have done research on the successfulness of SEL and have concluded that individuals can use the SEL that they learned for good or evil, depending on its value to that individual. They can use SEL for evil by manipulating the emotions of others to suit their individual purposes. They could use it for good by helping individuals through crises. And I think that would be the main purpose behind SEL being taught. The question becomes, will this be beneficial based on the updated version of SEL and its new equity elaborations dealing with race? My final concern is connected with the others. The competencies. With inclusion of the new equity elaborations leaves room for politics to enter the classroom. The Arizona State Legislature passed Bill SB 1074, a bill that would have made it the law for any agency within the state that uses public monies for training, orientation, or therapy that presents any form of blame or judgment on the basis of race, ethnicity, or sex. This bill was vetoed by Governor Ducey at the end of May of this year. Additionally, the Arizona State Legislature brought forth SB 1532, a bill that stated school districts and/or
Please continue. If you're getting close, please continue.
getting there, or state agencies may not require a teacher to discuss controversial issues of public policy or social affairs that are not essential to the course learning objectives. As one considers the implications of the state legislature proceedings, we must recall that in the district's policy manual under staff ethics, teachers are not to use their positions for political, social, religious, economic, or other influence. In addition, teachers are to use appropriate measures to correct any laws, policies, or regulations that are not consistent with sound educational goals. Both of these bills tie into the movement happening across the country, which includes the inclusion of identity politics in the classroom, the last of my concern. This movement is pushing the idea and belief that people are defined not by how they treat each other, but on their perpetuation of racial and sexual oppression. Most of us are familiar with the catchphrases being tossed around the media of cancel culture and the critical race theory, or CRT. These concepts of cancel culture, critical race theory are part of identity politics, dealing with political ideas which do not belong in the classroom or not included in the Arizona State standards. I encourage you to please take the time to read the documents on the Arizona State Board of Education website, namely the 18-page document on SEL. I also encourage you to read the 175-page original book on SEL, published in 1997. Yes, it's 175 pages. It took me 2 days to read it. I encourage you to look up the CASEL framework, C-A-S-E-L, from which the SEL for Arizona was developed, and research that organization's background and form your own opinion on what the true purpose is for this push in our educational system. As you think on these items and my concerns, please recall what is included in the 14th Amendment and Civil Rights Act of 1964 regarding discrimination. Finally, I thank you for your time this evening and actively listening to my concerns regarding education in our classrooms. And I do have links to the websites in case you would like to access those documents.
Okay, you could leave those as miscellaneous if you would like.
Thank you,
Thank you.
ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Luna?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bruce Luna. First of all, I'm here to back the blue. I requested public records pertaining to Yuma Police Department and San Luis Department pertaining to not utilizing the department flag. I made a copy for you so that you can have it. What I did learn was I asked for 11 items, I got one, and one I was directed to another one. So take a look at it, and maybe we can get together and figure that part out. Today, you can consider to approve evaluation for pay performance for the superintendent. Do you know that this administration pays stipends out for extra services that weren't even received? I'm going to give you an example. The marching band stipend. Marching band was canceled in July, but the administration still paid the stipend. That stipend is $3,925. You got Yuma High, Kofa, Cibola, and Gila Ridge. That's $15,700. Then they have an assistant. Those four is about $7,800. So $23,500 was paid out. My kids are marching kids. We didn't do anything, not a single thing. So maybe you might want to table that today and figure out what's going on, okay? Because that's my tax dollars. That's a lot of money, okay? In the world that I live in, that's called misuse of government funds. In my world, that's what it's called. The next thing I want to talk to you about religious discrimination. Last year, you had a principal, a young lady at CTE. She brought a welding hammer with a cross on it. They told her that it might offend somebody, not to bring it back. We took care of that problem. The gentleman apologized. No harm, no foul. This year, we have a problem. We have kids that we take to camp every year. Every year we do the proper documentation. It comes from the pastor. We get an excuse absent. No questions asked. This year, they gave us an unexcused, okay? You also have a handout of my kids. I don't know what to say about that. I've never had that happen. I have a lot of kids that go to camp, a lot of different kids that go to different schools, but all of a sudden this year, we have an unexcused absent. In this school time, it didn't affect my kid. But next year, if we get it unexcused and he has a test, he doesn't have documents that need to be sent that day, he's not going to be able to do it. So you need to really take a look at that. And the last thing, you're talking about equity. My kid went to school every day. He sat in the library because we don't have the internet capable to do what you ask us to do. In January, he said, "Dad, I'm having a problem with math." Okay, I contacted the teacher contacted me. He says, "No problem, Mr. Luna, I see that Matthew's here every day in the library. We'll get together. Let me check with the admin." Admin came back, says, "No, you can't help him." What happened? I thought our job was to teach the kids. Okay, so in his progress report, he got a C. Understand, we're parents who are going to make our kids succeed. So we got him the help he needs, and he got an A. What happened? Why would you deny my kid the right to learn? All the performance that Mr. Brooks put, it ain't going to make a difference if you're not helping our kids. Is it because of me, or is it because of my kid? Or just because, I don't know, but at the same time you were teaching sports kids one-on-one. but you can't teach my kid one-on-one? I don't know what to say. I'm really ashamed. Okay? But it needs to be fixed. Thank you.
Russell McLeod.
Good evening, Superintendent, assistants, and board. Mr. Chairman, I have two subjects. I trust you will indulge me on that.
You've got 3 minutes.
The first per subject, I
No.
thought. First subject is, I'll be brief. I would have rather expounded more. I want to extend my appreciation to Superintendent Thompson, her assistants, who graciously invited board members of the Yuma Multiversity to tour our high schools, particularly the vocational system. I consider myself well informed. I had no idea how well we were doing in those areas and the scope of what we were doing in those schools. So I want to commend them, commend the board for putting the resources together for those vocational programs. They're exceptional, far and beyond anything I had when I was in high school. So thank you for that. Subject two, I was deeply offended by the decision to deny our color guards the flag representing our fallen law enforcement officers. My first thought was, not in our community. We have to push back right away, push back hard. We don't want that camel's nose under the tent. Let other areas of the country have their time denigrating law enforcement. Not here. Mr. Clark was very eloquent in his statements. I completely agree. One of the things I wanted to tell you is, we know, the board sets the policy. I would really prefer the board set the policy that we are going to invite our law enforcement agencies to our graduation ceremonies, and they're willing to bring the flags that they feel represent our community the best. What better civics lesson than to teach our kids what that flag means? That means that people are willing to get up in the morning, get dressed, go to work, and put their lives on the line for them. We heard the term neutral thrown out. When there's a threat on campus, who are you going to call? The neutral agency? Who's going to come? Who's going to show up? Who's going to place their life in the line of fire, run toward a gun-wielding person, a person with a knife, or any other instrument of harm? They're going to run to that while everybody else is running away. We need to honor our law enforcement in every way possible, and I believe firmly that this community will back you. I too heard from a great number of people. I did not hear from one person that said, yeah, I can see that. Not one. So please listen to the voices in your community. I trust you can make the right decision and support our law enforcement to the fullest degree. And I've heard it said that persons that have my opinion, it's a political issue. But I have to ask you, be logical. Wasn't it a political decision in the first place to deny the use of that flag in your graduation ceremonies? To me, that had to come from somewhere. It didn't come out of thin air. It came from political stances. And so please think about that. Logic would dictate. It started as a political issue. I don't really see it as much of a political issue. I see it as right and wrong and what we want to teach our children. So thank you for indulging me. Have a great evening.
Thank you. That's all the speaking cards I have. Was there any other speaking? Okay, I see none. If you want to speak, just come up and give us your name. And if you would when you leave, before you leave, fill out one so we have your phone number and stuff so we can get back with you if we need to.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you. Thank you all for entertaining me tonight. My name is Chris Bex. First, let me identify myself as a Christian. So let me get that out there. Secondly, I'll go ahead and identify myself as a veteran. Excuse me. So I'm going to address two things. Equity. I like your presentation, good presentation. But when you're talking about equity, it's probably not going to happen too much, just my opinion. Equity is something where you have to be equal on all phases. That may not happen because everybody learns differently. Everybody's on a different level. So I don't know how you create equity. You can't even create equity in a home. If you look at studies show that generally, firstborn child is the one who does the best in the home, 97% of the time. And out of that 97%, you go on to get astronauts and you get some of your top CEOs and executives in the United States. That's not me, that's just statistics. But let me address the blue issue. Being a veteran, it's really offensive when you say don't fly that flag. One of the things that I get really offended about that is you ask your military to defend you abroad, and they go, and they do it under the colors of the United States flag. Those colors don't run. They don't run, they protect you, and everybody in this room. And furthermore, everybody in this country. We protect everybody in other countries, for goodness sakes. When we ask people in our community to protect us, they don't run except to the fight. If your house gets broken into, it's the blue that's going to show up. We can't avoid the obvious. This community is large white and large Hispanic. So what exactly is the problem with us flying that flag? It's a representation of our community, whether that's Yuma, San Luis, or Somerton. We need to be cognizant of what it is that we're asking when we're saying don't fly this flag. You're not just offending me. You're not just offending a military member. You're offending everyone. And I can't leave this podium without referencing Christ, because it's a biblical notion that tells us to respect our authority, to respect the authority of those that are placed in that position. Law enforcement officers do a job that they volunteer to do. They don't stand up and they don't go to sleep when it's time to go to the fight. When it's time to go to the fight, we expect them to go to the fight. Every day they get bashed, they get beat. You look on TV, that's all they're getting. Give them some respect. It's a flag. Let's not get political. Let's stay righteous and let's do what we're supposed to do. Each and every person in here, when you go home tonight, you may not see them, but there's a cop around the corner. They don't have to fly that flag, but their very presence dictates that someone's going to be safe that night. And if there's a crime, they're going to do their best to investigate it, to resolve that matter. I'm not here to be angry or upset, but damn it, we need to learn to show some respect and not entertain silliness. It's asinine that in today's climate, we should be awfully thankful that we don't have the problems that we see on the national stage right now. I grew up in this community. I graduated at Kofa High School. I was proud to be a King. I was proud to be from Yuma. Everywhere I've gone in this world, Yuma's been my home, and I've always wanted to come back here. And I don't want to come back to a community that's broken, that wants to look like something else. Yuma's the best place that I've ever been to. It has had some of the greatest people that I've ever come across, period. And it's because we built this community in a way to where we are supportive of our law enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you'll, okay, you don't have a card, but if you'd fill one out afterwards so we have your phone number and your name. Sure. Okay. Go ahead. We'll let you speak.
My name is Art Gradius. I am, give me my telephone number here or afterwards?
Afterwards.
Okay. Folks, I flew under this blue banner for 20 plus years with the City of Yuma Police Department. The greatest part of my career, most memorable part of my career, was the 6 years that I spent as a DARE instructor within the Yuma School District. Ms. Kravitz, we spent some time at the Crane School. And one of the things that was most memorable was the interaction between students and police officers. It was that relationship that was built that is still part of my life. I've got kids now who are in their 30s, unfortunately, but and their kids are are in school, and they are the ones that still come up to me and say, you know, I just thank you for what you did. Thank you for the relationships that we had. Those still are filtering because they are part of the community now that I still continue to serve. With that in mind, I just fear that resigning this flag tears apart the relationship that goes with a police officer and its community. Folks, this community has done nothing but support our law enforcement. There is nothing that I could say ill during the 20 years that I worked within the police department, the Yuma Police Department, and now like 15 years now or 14 years now with the county, that we have been nothing but supported by the community. I would love to be able to continue that relationship, that feeling with you, the board, still supporting, whether it's still the school resource officers that are still part of the school. And again, it's that thin blue line. It's that, you know, we hear on the national stage of officers going into a firefight and going toward the bullets rather than running from. And we see that, and we have been blessed, thank goodness, that we have not had to have that kind of call in our school systems. That doesn't mean it cannot happen. And I know that those guys out there right now are prepared to do what they need to do. But we have been blessed that it has not happened. But that doesn't mean that we haven't had situations where we've had students just come up and ask you a question about life. That continues on. And that's the banner that flies under that blue line. And folks, I would be, you know, just remiss if I didn't get an opportunity to at least, you know, thank this community for support that goes beyond anything else that I've ever had. I appreciate it, and again, thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Mr. Gurdias. Okay, if that's everyone, we appreciate everyone that came tonight to speak. We appreciate your passion and your concern, and thank you very much for being here and expressing your opinions. Moving on, consent items, the adoption of items of routine nature and those that normally do not require deliberations on the part of the governing board. A board member may pull items which will be discussed and voted on separately. We do need to, on item 5.2, routine personnel, pull number 9. Is there a motion? Item 5.2, number 9 needs to be pulled.
This on. I move that we, the governing board, approve the consent items minus 5.2.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Mellon, seconded by Ms. Kravitz to approve the consent items with the exception of item 5.2, number 9. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye and raise your hand, please. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item, action item 6.1, consideration to accept donations. I will read the donations that we have tonight. To Cibola High School, donors choose donated $415.20 worth of games and kits to the Cibola High School Library's Create Space section. Donors choose donated $280 worth of books to the Cibola High School Library circulating collection. To Gila Ridge High School, Mr. Justin Hale, who I think has left already, but was here tonight, from 4th Avenue Gym, donated $5,000 worth of gym training equipment to the Gila Ridge High School Athletics and PE department. The equipment will be used for all student athletes in PTA and sports programs. San Luis High School, the San Luis Mariachi Club donated 2 Palatino violins and 2 Palatino trumpets. I don't know if I said that right. To the San Luis High School Mariachi class, estimated value of the donation is $936.64. It is recommended that the governing board accept the above listed donations. Is there a motion? Motion made by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Ms. Mellon, to approve the above listed donations. Is there any questions or discussion?
With thanks.
Yeah, with thanks, of course. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye and raise your hand. Aye. Oppose? Motion carries unanimously. Item 6.2, consideration to approve the revised facilities rental fees for the 2021-2022 school year. It is recommended the governing board approve the revised facilities rental fees for the 2021-22 school year. It was in your packet. Is there a motion?
I move that we, the governing board, approve the revised facilities rental fees for the 2021-2022 school year.
I second the motion.
Motion made by Ms. Mellon, second by Mr. Gonzalez, to approve the revised facilities rental fee for the 2021-22 school year. Ms. Thompson, anything you would like to add to that?
I'm hoping that the board information was clear. We really hope to not have to raise fees, but life is expensive and we have facilities that need a lot of care, as well as positions that we need to pay for working during events. I'm not sure, Mr. Brianza, if you have anything else you want to add to that, and I would like to publicly thank Mr. Brianza, CFO Cordery, and Jay Munoz for all of their work in really painfully going through every item, because we seek to not have to charge more than necessary of for any of our facilities.
This update, recommended update, is basically over the increase in wages and how that's reflected in the cost of renting. The actual space itself has not increased since the last board approval several years ago, but this was just a reflection of escalation of wages, which is a great thing for our staff, but yet it's passed on then to the leasee. And also in your board docs is a revamped facility rental agreement that has also been run by our attorney for their approval and legal opinion. So that's something that we're looking at also using once we open up for rentals, and hopefully soon.
Any questions or discussion?
That was my only question, which was when are we going to open up our facilities?
You know, a lot of that goes back to our trust, the insurance, and also legal. But tentatively right now, we're hoping that sometime after July 1st, we can invite outside entities to come in and work with our facilities department to make those arrangements for the upcoming 21-22 school year.
Do we have any hardship exemption available, or any grant maybe that we haven't used for an organization that quite cover the cost, or?
Nope.
No? Okay.
The other organizations are more than welcome to ask the community for help and support, but for our part, we really run into the gift of public funds if we are cutting other organizations' breaks and not the other ones. So, but unfortunately, no.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 6.3, consideration to appoint Gina Thompson, Yuma Union High School District CEO, to serve the Yuma Union High School District Governing Board as per the IGA for the Yuma Education Consortium. It is recommended that the governing board appoint Mrs. Thompson as superintendent to serve on the Yuma Education Consortium on behalf of Yuma Union High School District 70. Is there a motion?
I move that we, the governing board, approve Mrs. Thompson as superintendent to serve on the YEC on behalf of our school district.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Ms. Kravitz, seconded by Mr. Lauda, to appoint Mrs. Thompson as superintendent to serve on the Yuma Education Consortium on behalf of YUHSD 70. Is there any questions or discussion? Ms. Thompson, you want to?
Thank you for the ability to attend this meeting on a monthly basis. And thank you for appointing me, because this year we are the owners of the agenda and the host. So we are very proud to have this partnership and to, again, just take resources well beyond what we have as a community and compile them with Yuma Elementary District 1, Arizona Western College, NAU. We get a lot done And I think Dean Farr is a great example of that. Our YETC is part of our consortium. So thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this meeting.
Is there any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all will vote. All in favor say aye and raise your hand. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 6.4, consideration to approve the 2021-22 student fee schedule. It is recommended the governing board approve the 2021-22 student fee schedule. It was in your packet. Is there a motion?
I move that we, the governing board, approve the 2021-22 student fee schedule.
Motion made by Ms. Kravitz, seconded by Mr. Lotta to approve the 2021-22 student fee schedule. Is there any questions or discussion? Ms. Thompson, Ms. Anderson, you want to add anything?
This is something that comes to the governing board on an annual basis for the upcoming school year. No changes to fees, and the only addition to this fee schedule has been the lost textbook.
Any questions?
One quick question. For the families that sometimes have several kids and they don't have all the money, what plan do you have to help them out?
They would reach out to their school counselor and their campus administration team, and they work with the families on payment plans or whatever works for them. Or other sources that we might have.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 6.5, consideration to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the County of Yuma, the Yuma County Recorder, and the Yuma Union High School for the provisions of election services for calendar years 2021 through 2020. 5 or 6? If one agenda says 5 and one says 6.
Oh, yeah.
It should be 26.
26.
The printed agenda says 5. Okay. So 2021-26.
I move that we, the governing board, approve the intergovernmental agreement between the County of Yuma, the Yuma County Recorder, and Yuma Union High School for the provision of election services for calendar years 2021 through 2026.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Mellon, seconded by Ms. Kravitz, to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the County of Yuma, the Yuma County Recorder, and Yuma Union High School for the provision of election services for the calendar years 2021 through 2026. Is there any questions, discussion? Ms. Thompson?
I actually have a question on that.
Yes.
And where is the budget coming out to when we get to pay the
For an election,
elections?
it comes from the board budget, the governing board budget.
Any other questions?
I just have a question, and maybe, should it read Yuma Union High School District? Does that matter, or in the recommendation? Or it's the agreement, Yuma Union High School?
Yes, Yuma Union High School District, if you can
Okay.
amend the recommendation. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Crap.
Fun of the iPad.
Okay. Item 6.6, consideration to appoint Yuma Union High School District representative to the Education Foundation Board for the 2021-22 school year. It is recommended the governing board approve Mrs. Thompson, once again to another meeting, to serve as a board member for the Educational Foundation of the Yuma County for the 2021-22 school year. Is there a motion?
I have a question.
Yes.
Should I recuse myself because I'm on that board, or am I okay to vote on that? Or make a motion?
Probably don't need to, but it would be a good idea to probably just recuse yourself.
Thank you.
So Ms. Mellon will recuse herself from this. Is there a motion?
I move that we, the governing board, approve Mrs. Gina Thompson to serve as board member for the Educational Foundation of Yuma County for the 2021-22 school year.
Motion made by Ms. Kravitz, seconded by Mr. Lotta, to approve Ms. Thompson to serve as a board member of the Education Foundation of Yuma County for the 2021-22 school year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is there any questions or comments?
I have a question. I recognize that you are the expert in the school district as head honcho and superintendent, and I thank you so much for that. But is this are you the only person that we can appoint? Is that the best use of your time? Is that something that you want to be on?
It's part of the actual intergovernmental agreement, or with this one, it's part of the foundation requirement that the superintendent
So
represents.
not an associate.
Right.
Okay.
And believe me, as much as I like to chuckle about it, they do definitely have their plates full for meetings that I can't attend.
I'm sure. I just wanted to ask.
No, thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Ms. Mellon recusing. Item 6.7, consideration to approve revised job descriptions. It is recommended that the governing board approve the 4 revised job descriptions for athletic equipment manager / security officer, human resource specialist, payroll specialist, registrar, and school social worker, SSP-ESSER. Is there a motion?
I move that we, the governing board, approve the 4 revised job descriptions for athletic equipment manager, security officer, human resources specialist, payroll specialist, registrar, and school social worker, SSP-ESSER.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Mellon, second by Ms. Kravitz, to approve the 4 revised job descriptions for athletic equipment manager / security officer, human resources specialist, payroll specialist, registrar, and school social worker, SSP-ESSER. Ms. Thompson, Ms. Cordery, you want to?
Thank you, President Townsend, Governing Board. I've asked Ms. Cordery to come up about specifics, especially if you have questions, but I want to just elaborate a little bit that this is part of our ongoing commitment to our staff to use our budget and also to realign our organization. You know that it's been a long-standing goal for me to retain and also attract people to our district. And we just have different jobs that we've been in certain places for a very long time. And this year, this was part of our analysis, and we continue that work ongoing to represent the best salary schedule that we can offer in order to attract and recruit and retain. And Diane, if you would please just elaborate from there.
Well, you pretty much said it. I think we're good. I did just want to touch on the new job description that you have that's new to our district is the halftime athletic equipment manager and security officer. In the past, it has been a 10-month position for security guard and a 12-month position for athletic equipment manager. So in an effort to make things a whole lot easier to track for vacation time and leave time and those kinds of things, we've now combined those and made one job description and made it a 12-month position in the process. So
it's the same person.
It is this nobody. Yes, same person. We've just kind of streamlined the paperwork a little better so that like I said, it's hard when you have a 10-month employee and a 12-month employee that's half-half, right, because those are different benefits that they get for those jobs. So we're just trying to streamline that.
Mm-hmm.
Any further questions? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Cordery. You're staying up there. So
I'll
you
just hang out
you
because
must,
the next
must have the
several of
next
them, I'm just going to get sent back up here.
Consideration to approve safety and consideration to approve the safety and retention stipend. It is recommended that the governing board authorize a $2,500 safety and retention stipend to be paid each year for 2 years to all benefited employees who complete all required training prior to October 1st, 2021 and October 1st, 2022, respectively, subject to ESSER grant fund availability. Is there a motion?
So move.
Which I'll give it to Mrs. Kravitz and second to Mr. Gonzalez.
I just didn't want to have to say the whole thing again. That was
Okay.
a longie.
The motion has been made by Ms. Kravitz, seconded by Mr. Gonzalez to authorize a $2,500 safety and retention stipend to be paid each year for 2 years to all benefited employees who complete all required training prior to October 1st, 2021 and October 1st, 2022, respectively, subject to ESSER grant fund availability. Ms. Thompson, Ms. Cordery?
I will turn it over to the CFO on this one, but we are very excited to offer this to our employees.
So this goes back to the ESSER funds that we have, following in the footsteps of several of our school districts in Yuma County and the state of Arizona. We would like to reward our employees that have stuck with us through some really difficult times, which is the CARES Fund, which is what has brought us those funds. We have employees that have stuck with us. We have some added requirements in training with COVID that we're going to require next year so that we can be open and have everyone in the safest environment that we possibly can offer for our students. So as a requirement, we have numerous, and when I say numerous, I don't even know if anybody wants to take a guess at how many trainings we have to go through, and that's not a complaint, that's a requirement, and that's what we all do. That's part of our job to do that. However, with that comes some added classes for that, as well as we have some additional training for financial stuff, financial information, making sure everybody stays legally compliant with the money part of it, as well as the youth mental health first aid training. That's new as well this year. So the requirement, the payment that we're requesting the board approve tonight is not for the time that people spend doing these different trainings. It's for the incentive for them to get them completed by October 1st. And it's, like I said, many, many hours of training to go through, so we want to reward them to get that done early so that we have all of our staff trained prior to October 1st. So we're making the recommendation out of the CARES Fund, the ESSER funds specifically, to be able to make this payment this year and next year for all benefited employees. So that is classified, certificated, all employees to be able to do that pending that the ESSER funds are available. If they weren't available, we wouldn't be able to honor this at this point.
Ms. Kravitz?
I have a question. When is this a self-paced training or self-paced meetings?
Yes.
Okay, so this is done
All
outside
online. It
of
could be
their
done. So our
daily-
classified staff are required to do it during work hours.
Okay.
And our teachers can do it at their convenience because they are not hourly employees.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And that's during the school year? Not like in the summer?
We just did one in the summer, and we'll do some on Saturdays throughout the school year.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. You're staying up here, Ms. Cordery.
Just in case.
Consideration to approve proposed performance-based compensation plan for 2021-22. It is recommended the governing board approve the revised compensation packet for the 2021-22 fiscal year for the changes noted above. Is there a motion?
I move that we, the governing board, approve the revised compensation packet for the 2021-2022 fiscal year for the changes noted above.
Motion made by Ms. Mellon, seconded by Mr. Lara, to approve the revised compensation packet for the 2021-22 school year. I just messed it up. Ms. Thompson, Ms. Cordery?
Actually, in the background are the 7 areas that are covered so that it was easier than going through trying to find the information. Ms. Cordery, if you feel like there are any specifics, please feel free.
I am here at the leisure to answer questions regarding this document.
It was a very well thought out and presented document. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item is a call for executive session. ARS
6.10. 6.10.
The performance-based.
Okay, you're right. I'm in a hurry.
Oh my gosh. Can you repeat that?
I'm not married to you.
I know, but it's still nice to hear a male voice say it.
It is, okay, 6.1. Consideration to approve the proposed performance-based compensation plan for 2021-22. It is recommended the governing board approve the Yuma Union High School District performance-based compensation plan as submitted for the 2021-22 school year. Is there a motion?
I move that we, the governing board, approve the Yuma Union High School District performance-based compensation plan as submitted for the 2021-2022 school year.
Motion made by Ms. Mellon, second by Mr. Lotta, to approve the Yuma Union High School District performance-based compensation plan as submitted for the 2021-22 school year. Ms. Thompson, Ms. Cordery.
I would just like to point out that this does go to a vote of our teachers, and those teachers that did respond to the vote of those teachers, 80% of them approved it. Approved the plan that we have for the performance plan for next year.
Nice.
How many years have we been doing this?
So, 15?
And as the 15 years have progressed, this has just been an increase every year, or has the entire project been redone?
There were years there was no increase.
So are you talking financially? Are you talking financially or volume, like what's required? So financially, it just depends on what money we receive for that year, and it has increased pretty significantly since the start. As far as the requirements have changed a little bit each year, but nothing significant. Our goal is to make sure that we can get the highest number of teachers to qualify, not as a hindrance, but to help them.
And if they don't qualify, there is no penalty?
No. No, well, they just don't get the payment.
Okay, but there's no...
Nothing else. No.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
I'm going to sit down now.
Motion carries. You sure you don't want to give us some background on open meetings? Okay. Next item is a call for executive session, ARS 38-431.03A1, discussion or consideration of employment, assignment, appointment of a public officer, superintendent evaluation, performance pay. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So move.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez made the motion. Ms. Kravitz seconded to go into executive session for ARS 38-431.03A1, discussion of or consideration of employment assignment, appointment of a public officer, superintendent evaluation, performance pay, and contract. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We do have one item on the agenda after the executive session. I'm sure you all want to wait for that, right? Okay. Thank you all for coming tonight. We appreciate it. And we will go into executive session. we are back in open session. We will move on to item 6.12. Am I right this time?
Yes.
Consideration to approve evaluation and performance-based pay for superintendent. It is recommended that the governing board approve the superintendent's June evaluation and award the performance-based pay associated with the contract. Is there a motion? Whoa.
Who's again?
Motion was made by Ms. Kravitz and seconded by Mr. Lara to approve the superintendent's June evaluation and award the performance-based pay associated with the contract. Is there any discussion? Anybody like to say anything publicly? I will just say that I appreciate everything Ms. Thompson's done this past year. It's been a difficult year, and I think the fact that our district has done so well, and again, as I'll state it again, is being recognized on a national level for our attendance rates and successes that we've had even through the time of COVID. That it is a definitely because of the leadership of this district, and so I, for one, appreciate the hard work that you put in. Thank you.
I just want to like to echo Mrs. Townsend, and it's just I appreciate your service here for the district, and just continue doing what you're doing. That you're doing good about it, and I hope you stay here forever.
I was the one that seconded the motion. That's
I know.
What more do you need? That's just waiting vote.
It is. Any other comments?
Just thank you. This was a really trying year, and it was made so much better by the enhanced communication, effort, dedication for everybody in this district. What about you?
Okay, I will add, I can't be the no, thank you for your leadership and the leadership of your team and making sure that every student receives every opportunity to receive an excellent education, and it is always about the students, and students come first, so thank you.
Any other comments? With that, we will vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Our next meeting, we're going to have a regular board meeting July 14th, but I think June 30th at noon, we're going to have a call-in meeting.
Correct. June 30th at noon, if we could have a virtual or call-in, whatever your technology allows. It's for personnel as well as budget issues.
Hopefully, the legislature will have a budget.
We have got to have a budget soon. And if something happens, we're very familiar with doing the phone meeting, but since we do have the ability to do the Google Meet, we'll try that as well. So if you have a problem, you can always just call into the line, and we'll connect.
With that, is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned. Well, I would wear this, but it's too big.